There's another question that I didn't understand. What time expansion? Huh? Yeah, the question is if there is war. I think you are looking at a different provision of the Constitution than the one we are talking about. The one we are talking about is specific about under what circumstances can you postpone an election. I think the one you are talking about is the powers of the president to declare an emergency in a situation of war and so on. But why shift this election nationwide and not just in the Northeast? And I have stated the advice, strong advice of the security chiefs is that we will be so busy. We have already commenced an operation in the Northeast, in 4 states of the Northeast. While we are doing this operation, it will be impossible for election to take. We are not likely to finish this operation before February 14th. Therefore, it will be impossible for election to take place while a military operation is going on. But in addition to that, all our energies and resources are concentrated in prosecuting this operation. And we will not be in a position to provide the traditional support that we give to the police for security nationwide during elections. So it means that our ad hoc staff are not only at risk in the Northeast, but they are also at risk if we continue this election as scheduled. And I'm not conjuring up what they have said. You know, this communication was written to us and it was emphasized at the meeting of the National Council of State. Vision FM, is this the first shift? Will there be another one? We hope and pray to God that there will be no other shifts. And we will do everything possible to ensure that there is no other shift. And certainly, as I have said, we will make sure that election takes place within the constitutional timelines. Yes, okay. I've been reminded that I should also mention one other issue that the Commission took into consideration in addressing the question of why nationwide, why not just the Northeast. I think it is important to recognize that the Constitution has certain requirements for returning a candidate as the winner of an election. In a state, a candidate must win 25% of the votes in 2/3 of the local government in a state. And at the national level, a candidate, presidential candidate, must win 25% in at least 2/3 of the total number of states and the FCT. FCT is counted as like a state in this regard. And in addition to that, they must also have won the majority vote. So if elections cannot be held in 4 states in the Northeast, first of all, no governorship return can be made. And secondly, if a presidential election holds in all other states except those states, the likelihood of an inconclusive election is very, very high. And rather than do an inconclusive election, we are probably better waiting until there is sufficient normalcy in those areas for us to be able to do the election. So these are other considerations which we have also factored into our decision. ITV asked, how secure are the ballot papers? We believe the ballot papers are very, very secure. Very, very secure. As the ballot papers are brought from the contractors, they are received securely at the airports by the Air Force and the Central Bank. and they are driven directly to the vaults of the central banks in the states for which they will be used for the election. And these ballot papers are not brought out of that vault until INEC officials, together with representatives of political parties, go to collect these materials, normally 2 or 3 days, 2 days before the election. And when these people go, it has to be certified that these materials are intact, they have not been tampered with, and then they are taken from the vaults and transported to our offices, accompanied by security agencies and party agents and our officials. And when they get to our state offices, then the distribution commences. And these are now taken to the state levels and then further to the ward level until they eventually get to the polling unit. So they are very, very, very secure. All right. I think it has been a well-spent day. I thank you for your patience, and I want to reassure you that we are doing our best for our country, and we want to plead with all our compatriots to show understanding and to contribute to ensuring that the elections will be peaceful and credible. Thank you very much.
When is your tenure ending?
My tenure will end, God willing, June 30th, 2015.
What if you are asked to go on it before then?
I will cross the bridge when I reach it.
Your name, sir. Your name. Chris. Chris what? Idris.
Well, you've just watched the Independent National Electoral Commissioner, Professor Atahiru Jega, the chairman, that is, of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, brief the press on the status of Nigeria's 2015 elections. Of course, there's been a shift after a 24-hour meeting with representatives of political parties, resident electoral commissioners, and national commissioners. The presidential and National Assembly elections will hold on March 28, 2015, while governorship and state assembly elections will be held on April 11, 2015. Professor Jega says everything will be done to ensure that elections are held 30 days before May 29. And he says this decision falls within the constitutional framework of conducting elections by INEC, and that the decision was in good faith and is part of its duty to deepen democracy. Now, once an election is scheduled by INEC, no law court can stop it, and that's according to the chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, as INEC should not be stopped from performing its constitutional duty. And in response to questions from some of the journalists there about being coerced by other forces to shift the date of the elections, the INEC chairman said nobody made INEC to take this decision because it was based on advice from security agencies. He also spoke about the cost implications, which he said he does not envisage, as most sensitive materials have already arrived. And talking about the permanent voters' cards, he says about 96% have been produced and delivered, but only 66% have been collected. And so with this extension in the date of the elections, it is hoped that INEC will be able to achieve a maximum collection of permanent voters' cards by Nigerians. Of course, he again reiterates and reassures Nigerians of INEC's commitment to do everything within the law and conduct free and fair elections. Of course, you know you can catch up on this story on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. But that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Harriet Agbini. Good night.